Very good. First, we have an administrative hearing on the Broush PUD Stage 2 in Union Township. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Hadi Lababidi. I'm a planner with RPC, and today I'll present the Broush PUD Stage 2. So the process for this application, it was a recommendation from Regional Planning Commission, and today we meet for a decision. The PUD Stage 1 was approved in 2003 to include a landscaping business. So quick details about the property. The property owner is William Broush. Township is Union Township. The address is off Trovelo Road. And current use is a residential / agriculture with landscaping business. And total site area is 10.0048 acres. Current zoning is R1 PUD. So this is the site location. Again, it's in Union Township and off Trovelo Road. And an aerial for the site. So the current zoning for the property is R1 PUD, and to the west, east, and north of the property there is R1A, and then to the south there is solid waste transition, community commercial B2, and solid waste or disposal ST.
Is that the composting facility?
Excuse me?
The compost? No?
It's BFI.
Oh.
Oh, behind it, is to the south.
What was the
BFI.
Broush composting thing? Remember we had that?
That's over in Washington, or not Washington, yeah, Washington
Washington
Township,
Township.
towards Wilmington.
Yeah, and this is Union Township.
This is a landscaping company.
So this slide shows the modifications for the property. So to the left, it's the current configuration, and to right is the proposed configuration. I will go here in details about that. So the owner proposed property lines to adjust to accommodate the landscaping business on a different lot and different owner. And I believe it will stay within the same family. So everything in red is or are the old property lines. And here in green, it shows the new property lines. Like the details about the modifications for Tract 1, it's acreage decrease from 5.09 acres to 4.003 acres. Panhandle decrease from 40.01 feet to 30.01 feet. Also, they will remove the existing shed, and there is a new driveway. For Tract 2, it will be an acreage increase from 2.17 acres to 3.31 acres, and 2 barns will be included for landscaping business. Tract 3, it's only increase in frontage from approximately 157 feet to 210 feet. So for the surrounding uses, to the north, it's agriculture and residential. South, it's only agriculture. East and west, it's residential. And here, it's a photo for the landscaping business and the barn. Another one. So the staff recommend approval for the Broush PUD Stage 2, and this approval is subject to the following conditions. First, compliance with the Warren County Rural Zoning Code in effect at the time of PUD Stage 1 approval, and the PUD Stage 1B OCC conditions of approval, resolution number 03-1964. Also, signage and lighting shall not be permitted. Provide renderings of structures utilized for business practices, and any changes to the intensity of the operation requires a landscape buffer from adjoining residential property. And RPC recommended approval for Broush PUD Stage 2.
But all this is really doing, everything's already there. We're just changing the property lines
Yes.
to accommodate their
Yes.
internal stuff. right?
Because now the landscaping business will be on a different parcel, so they try to include these barns to be on this parcel and under different ownership.
Right?
Great.
Applicant, you got anything to say, or that's pretty much it?
Yeah, like she said, it's, so Dad, owned a business.
Just your name, sir.
So Doug Broush, this is my dad, Bill. He and I were partners for a number of years. Bill, he retired 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, when I turned 70.
So, yeah, so I've owned it since. The barns that we use are on track 1. I would like them to be on track 2, which is where, my house is. So, yeah, that's the main reason for it, and, so just kind of reconfiguring the line so that I have all that on my piece. So nothing, with the business. or
change in
anything
use.
Changes.
I was feeling good about all this until you just said that your dad's 70. I mean, that's, okay, now I feel bad about myself, so.
Retired at 70.
He's,
More than 70, okay.
yeah. You retired 7 years ago, did you say?
Approximately 7 years ago.
And so he retired at 70.
Okay.
He, well, of course he.
He's gonna be denied. I hate this. Wait. Public administrative hearing. Anyone else wish to comment on this subject? Hearing none, is there a motion to close this administrative hearing?
So moved.
And the pleasure of the board?
I move that we approve with conditions outlined by RPC, the change in the, what do they call it? The
Property lines.
property lines. Thank you.
With these 4 conditions?
Yes.
And yes. Very good. Have your approval. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bruce, I might hire you. This just illustrates, I'm so upset with, people talk about the differences in Warren County versus Hamilton County all the time. And, I think it's a lot of times theoretical. This kind of just illustrates why it's not. My office building down there in Hamilton County, adding parking spots, major modification to a PUD from adding parking spots. And I've got to go through this whole big process to add a handful of parking spots in Hamilton Township, or in Hamilton County. And the actual zoning committee, person told me, well, you've got residential across the street. I said, from 30 years ago, there's a wooden fence. I can't even see the houses. They've been there forever. This building's been here forever. You can't see the houses. There is no intensity. Well, they might complain about that. This isn't a Dollar General. The cars are gone at 5:30. Well, that's a good point. But yet you have to go through this entire big deal of changing the PUD and then asking for a variance off of some of these setback on top of a set. I think there's 3 setbacks from Mason Montgomery Road, literally, to add a few parking spots. And it's like,
My question is why he's got a building in Hamilton County?
Yeah.
great
Sounds like
question.
operator error to me.
Oh, yeah, self-inflicted wound. Very good. So, Martin, come on up. What do we got going on?
I so got used to sitting clear over here. Like, why am I sitting clear over there? Sorry.
I don't bite.
I know.
Contrary to popular opinion.
It's just that it's happening.
Good morning. So based on the clear direction that the board provided during the 2022 tax budget this summer, staff has been working with other elected officials, namely Auditor Nolan, who is here today, to facilitate your desire to provide a one-year tax holiday. All Warren County residential and business property owners will benefit from this. Although that the board only has discretion to impact the inside millage collected by the county itself, the savings for our property owners is considered to be substantial. It equates to roughly $80 per 100,000 of property valuation. And because of your leadership and strong partnership with the advisory boards for the Department of Development Disabilities and Senior Services, the Board of County Commissioners has continued and is being asked to approve additional rollback savings to Warren County property owners. So additional savings for the senior services would equate to roughly $30 per 100,000 of property valuation, and likewise for development disabilities, it would be about $46. Additionally, joining you in your strong example of fiscal prudence and with the assistance of Auditor Matt Nolan, Mason Library, Mary L. Cook Library, Washington Township, and Turtle Creek Township are all joining in rolling back a portion of their levies as well. While this tax holiday applies for only for tax year 2021, which is payable in calendar year 2022, the estimated cumulative savings for Warren County property tax owners, just for your piece, is $24 million. When you couple that with the other two, the development disability and senior service, that total number is raised to $46.5 million. And then when you add the last ones that I just did with the libraries and the other two townships, for those that live in that area, the total would be nearly $50 million in savings to Warren County taxpayers. For most Warren County property owners, this will be realized it kind of is a flat savings for 2022, as this tax holiday does coincide with the Ohio triennial reevaluation. Likewise, at the same time, when this discussion about the tax holiday was going on, you charged staff to provide a plan based upon your framework for awarding approximately $46 million from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, known as ARPA, to ensure our strong economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. While the federal guidance is broad on how to invest these funds, the goal is to expressly to assist individuals and grow industries impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Based on your framework and the feedback we received from the entire community, here are some examples of those projects that we will present in greater detail in the near future as they become available. One is kind of direct pandemic-related expenses to support testing, vaccinations, workplace modifications, and other items associated with the pandemic, as well as strategic investments to support the operations of the Warren County Jail and our schools during the pandemic. Noteworthy, which has been discussed several times, is the pilot project that the commissioners supported through the ESC to keep kids in school, and obviously now it is a statewide model. Infrastructure. To support the increased level of water service for all Warren County customers, which are about 32,000+ households, with water softening and removing the surcharge currently placed on Warren County water customers. This amounts to a $200 savings per Warren County water customer. To ensure our underserved and unserved rural and urban communities are connected to broadband. To prepare the Warren County Health Department to better address current pandemic and any future pandemic-related needs. And sort of the last category or bucket that we've kind of encapsulated this is economic development. To support increased capacity and stability in childcare, to ensure quality childcare is available for families so they can stay connected to the workforce. To reinvigorate Warren County's travel and tourism sector and those that are employed in that industry. Build on the success of the Warren County Sports Complex and invest in additional turf fields. Partner with the City of Middletown and the private sector to develop a multi-purpose entertainment venue along the 75 corridor. And then to develop and target workforce development programs in conjunction with our local partners to aid both companies and displaced workers and address the labor shortage. So before you today, with all that, there are actually two resolutions for your consideration and adoption, if you choose. The first is required to initiate the tax holiday for 2022, and the second is to reduce the millage for the senior service levy for tax year 2021 payable in 2022. With that, I think Tiff, myself, or Mr. Auditor Nolan would be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, we'll bring up the auditor in a second. So just so I understand, there's two parts to this. First is the holiday, which we'll discuss in length here in a minute, but the countywide portion of this is roughly $80 per
100,000
for the county's portion.
Correct.
Then senior services rollback is another $30, which everyone will see.
Mm-hmm.
And then the DD folks are rolling back another $46.
Correct.
So that's $156 everyone will see?
Correct.
Per 100.
Per 100,000, sorry, yeah, per 100,000.
So on a $300,000 house, 450, 500 bucks, something like that.
Correct.
And then part two, and we'll go into more details on that, part two is we were given this American Rescue Plan Act, as I call them, ridiculous dollars, that we didn't ask for, to the tune of $45 million. And you have a framework of how this money can be allocated, but we're not actually committing to any of these things right this second. We're just saying, this is the framework, this is what we're moving forward with.
Correct. I mean, this is the broad framework that we've worked with in the community, looked at some of the goals that the commissioners, Board of Commissioners had, put this together. Obviously, there's more detail that'll come in each of these as time progresses, and we'll bring that forward. But this is, I think, a broad look at investment into a variety of areas inside the county.
Very good. Mr. Otter, would you like to talk about this? Love to hear from you. Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. I just wanted to come down and thank the commissioners for this. I think it's a great program. The staff and I had an opportunity to go to DC to discuss this and other things 2 weeks ago and met with the National Association of Counties, who assured us we are the only people doing anything like this, which I always like to hear about Warren County. In my research, it's the largest property tax rollback in Ohio history. I think it's probably the largest tax rollback in American history. It's just not something that's done anywhere else. So it's really a small thing for us, but I'm really proud to be able to do it and trying to get the message out to people that we're, happy to give their money back for 1 year. 2023, it'll come back on, but for 2022, we get to give them a little of their money back.
So you're saying you went to DC, you talked to the folks that are in the businesses of supporting and working with counties, and to everyone's knowledge there, for sure, this is the largest property tax rebate in Ohio's history.
Correct.
And it's possibly or likely the largest property tax rebate in the nation's history.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
For one single year.
For one single
Yeah,
year,
for
correct,
one
for 1
single
year,
year.
one
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And before my comments, Commissioner Jones, comments?
Well, first of all, I was going to thank both Martin and Matt for their work. I know that this was like a 5-minute presentation for which there were hours and hours of work and time that went in behind the scenes. And so I really appreciate you working towards bringing this in for a landing. I think that it's great when the commissioners can kind of set a piece around what is the broad, I like the word you used, Martin, framework, like what's the broad framework of investment in the community, and that we're really investing across the board to make sure that everyone benefits from the federal ARPA investment. So, the property tax rollback is a great way to ensure that all property tax owners also benefit from this. And so I appreciate your leadership on that. I also am grateful to the library systems and the developmental disabilities, as well as those who support the senior levy in voluntarily rolling back their, portion of their property tax to ensure that we're not hoarding taxpayer dollars, that when we need to use taxpayer dollars for the approved services by those taxpayers, that we have them to support the community, but that we're not in the business of hoarding taxpayer dollars if there aren't needs in the community. So I'm really grateful for their participation. And in the case of the developmental disabilities, they have been really leading on this for several years. So they should be commended for their good stewardship. Because I know that in that system in particular, it's really hard to predict future needs, the way our Medicaid system and our waiver system is established. So I'm grateful for them. And I think, it stands, it probably goes without saying, but I want you to know, Martin and Tiffany and Candace and Tina and others who've contributed to the sort of project portions of the ARPA dollars. I know how much work has gone, how many stakeholder meetings and phone calls and emails went into doing this, and I think there's a lot of really good things that we'll learn more about down the road. And a couple of them that, Dave and I, for example, have been really, talking about for a long time in childcare and ensuring the development of quality childcare in our county so that people can stay connected and get reconnected to the workforce. That's been a huge priority of the commission. And I think it's, investing in some of those core services where we know we have some deficiencies. So, for example, I just got a letter from the Franklin Food Pantry last week who, like many others, have been notified by the Warren County United Way because they didn't have a drive last year because of COVID, that their planned allocation has been reduced by 60%. And so this plan certainly includes some resources for core services so that we can make sure that our food pantries remain accessible with product for the families in the community that need it. So I really just wanted to recognize you all to say how much I appreciate dealing with all of the competing interests. And I know how much work went into this, and I look forward to, the discussion continuing. And finally, I am very mindful of the fact that this one-year property tax holiday coincides with the triennial evaluation. And we know that property valuations in Warren County have gone up, as they have in many other places, not only in Ohio, but around the country. And increasing in valuation is a very good thing.
What we want.
But it also means that the tax burden also increases. And so I think that, and I've heard you, Matt, talk about how important it is for us to work together in the county to be able to message to families in particular, but also businesses, of what their tax liability is going to be in the future. Yes. Because they may not see much of a distinction in this tax year for the collections in 2022, but they will see that increase in the collections for during calendar year 2023. And so I want you to know that I am eager to partner with you and the others to make sure that we're communicating that this is a chance for everybody to kind of prepare for what the tax valuation increase means to property taxes. So in effect, we're not only investing in the families and businesses in a one-time way, we're really giving them some running room to really prepare. And I think that's what's really keeping with Warren County, is how we've been really fiscally prudent in preparation, and this is a chance for us to do that. So, Matt, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and today's really a good day to talk about all the positives, and all these are positives. And what I've been telling people is to expect this year your taxes to be the same as last year. So this is a great holiday, and we are saving you hundreds of dollars by doing this, but because of the way property taxes work in Ohio, your taxes aren't going down for most people, most residents. Every business in Ohio, every business in Warren County will see a property tax reduction this year. Most residents will see their taxes stay flat.
What was that on average increase in valuation?
It was about 17% on average, and it varied in the areas that have seen the biggest lag, Franklin, Morrow, theirs are closer to 25%. The areas that have gotten the bigger increases over the years, Mason, only went up about 13%. But on average, people's taxes are going to be flat this year. So you can kind of keep your escrow account where it's at, budget where it's at, and plan next year, 2023, for a 10% increase when these rollbacks come off, when this holiday ends. So, you know, however people do that. If you want to set money aside, great. If you want to spend the money now and enjoy it and then the next year come up with it, that's fine too. But, you know, 2023, there will be an increase. And that was one of the things that was a little frustrating in DC. They said, this is a bad idea because your residents are going to be upset in 2023. And I can see that. I mean, we've talked about that before. It's our job to help educate and talk to people, but also I think Warren County residents are pretty smart, and they'll get it. And as long as we get it out there and explain it and use social media and different avenues to get it out there, people in Warren County will get it, and they're saving money now, and they'll invest it and use it, and they'll be ready in 2023. And we'll still have lower tax rates than almost any other community around, so.
And it's around $50 million in total.
It is
between
$50
all.
million. I mean, really, and Martin said this yesterday, and today you guys are investing $100 million in our community, which is a big deal in Warren County. That's a lot of money. $50 million going back to the taxpayers, round numbers, $50 million getting invested in our businesses, and I'm stealing that from Martin, so I got to give him credit. But that's a big deal. That's a lot of money to invest in Warren County that you guys are doing right now, and it's really going to help for the next decade form what Warren County is.
Right, and that's exactly where, I appreciate Commissioner Jones's comments, that's exactly where I was going with this. And let's talk about the real numbers for a second, that average home value, and some people are blessed to have more, a lot of people struggle and their home value is less, but on average, maybe $300,000.
Average home value in Warren County is about $300,000. That's
So
right.
let's just run through, if I put on my financial hat for a second, and you're saying on average, home values have increased 17% over this 3-year period.
Correct.
That means your $300,000 house 3 years ago is now worth $351,000.
You've got $51,000 in equity just by being a Warren County
So
resident.
your net worth inside of Warren County just went up by $50,000 on your home alone.
Correct.
So the government, in our way of financing government, and this is the state law, this is not a Warren County issue, we take a portion of that based on the real estate value.
Right.
If your home value were to ever go down, that's accounted for. So your net worth went up $51,000, and government's asking you to pay essentially a few $100s more in property taxes.
Correct.
On that. So that is the real world.
That's right.
That is coupled in the context of you would be paying that, if everything else was the same, you would be paying that few $100s extra right now going into this next tax year.
Yep.
However, in Warren County's way, with these dollars, which honestly had very little to do with our decision to do a property tax rollback, we're not spending
Yeah,
those
two different
dollars.
boxes, right?
It's two different pots of money, just happened to be at the same time that we already had this money saved, that in Warren County's way of doing this forever, that we've been doing this for decades, that we are in a position not to collect this tax. We're not cutting your taxes, we're not reducing your tax rates, we're not doing any of that, because we know then all of a sudden, as soon as they go back on, well, you've just increased my taxes. Your taxes are staying the same. We're simply not collecting them for 1 year. That is coupled with the fact that your home value just went up. I think the official economic term is a boatload. And so,
I think I used the word booming, which Martin thought was a little strong, but yeah, that's right.
so your taxes would be going up. And essentially, net, they're going to be about the same. So people are going to be like, well, wait, I thought they weren't collecting my taxes. And again, we're only talking about the Warren County portion. The majority of your tax bill, and again, this is important for the record, if a reporter is going to write a story on this, which I certainly hope they would, the vast majority, 70–80% of your tax bill of your ad valorem taxes, is your school districts. The schools are still going to collect their portion. That is how they run every year. But it's the county portion and some of these add-on levies that we've done. That's the portion that is going to be subject to this holiday. We're not reducing them. They're not going away forever. We're not cutting the rates. We're simply not going to collect them for this 1 year period. They are still there.
I had a very educated resident the other day that said it this way: there's a pie of taxes. The smallest piece of those pies not getting collected. Everything else, which is the school, it's the biggest piece of the pie, is still gonna get collected. You're still gonna get a tax bill. Your escrow account's still about right, but there is, we're taking that little few slices and letting you have them, basically.
Right, and in reality, that even though it's going to be about the same, we are saving by not doing this, the average, I hate to speak in averages, but the average person around $450, $500.
That's right.
That is a fact. So, that's very exciting, and Martin, I do appreciate that. That is literally a $100 million investment by the time we're spending some of these federal dollars and we're rolling this back. That's $100 million pouring into Warren County, which is a very, very big deal. And thank you for pointing out the largest in Ohio's history and probably the largest in the United States' history.
I would agree with Auditor Nolan that I think in Tiffin, she was at that meeting as well, as I think that they were pleasantly surprised. I think they liked what they heard, but I think we took them a little off guard that we were going to not only make the investments, but also do the tax holiday. So I think that we are, we do things differently and putting ourselves a little bit on the national stage yet again, that we are very respectful of taxpayers' resources. And then when we do have the ARPA funds, that we're going to be very strategic in the framework and be as broad as possible to help those industries, help those individuals with the framework that we've put together.
Yeah, no, it is literally Warren County is firing on all cylinders right now. And and again, I think we get lost sometimes in and again, Warren County's not perfect. We have our own set of problems. We all have our own set of problems. But when things are coming together and they're clicking, it is running as well as a government could possibly run. And that is due not to what we've done, but to the power of our folks, the people, the residents. They are the ones where our philosophical approach of just trying to create this environment where our citizens can thrive, raise their family in a safe environment, our businesses like coming here, they have an educated workforce, yada, yada, all the things that make Warren County so special, and we're not trying to solve everyone's problems by spending everyone else's money on solving those problems. We are very large and very big philosophically on self-determination. We're just trying to here create the environment, and you will succeed on your own merits. We're not trying to predict these equal outcomes for everyone. We're just trying to predict equal opportunity for everyone and trying to foster that environment. And guess what? In this microcosm of America, which is Warren County, it's working, which you can't argue that. It is absolutely working. And there's no way of spinning what we're talking about today other than it is working. I don't think anybody can question that. And it's just honestly kind of sad that people are not trying to do what we've done more on a local government level or even a state level or even the national level of staying within your means, spending within your budget. The pie's only so big. You can't solve everybody's problems all the time. People have to actually work. You have to actually produce in this economy. And those are the things that we almost take for granted here that they're not doing nationally. It's almost like, God bless it that we're getting the money back that we've spent on the quarantining program for children. I don't think we talked about that since our last meeting. That pilot program that operated for 4 weeks inside of Warren County was adopted by the entire state of Ohio based on what the Warren County superintendents came up with. Tom Isaacs, Jonathan Cooper at Mason, and every superintendent in this county came up with this plan. It wasn't us. It was based on our philosophy of it's a parent's choice whether you're going to mask your child or not. But that was rolled out by literally every school district inside of Warren County, and now it's being adopted across the state because the data was there. So we've opened our schools during all of this. We had masking in this very commonsensical way for our kids, and now when it talks to the money side of this, it's just I'm just amazed. And again, as Commissioner Jones said, thank you to our staff that have worked very hard on developing this plan. Thank you, Matt Nolan. You are literally right in the middle of this. And you are our Chief Financial Officer, so much of this credit does go to you, so thank you. and literally all of our other elected officials who maintain this conservative fiscal approach. Because we've said this many times, people ask all the time, Commissioner Jones and myself, what makes you guys different? And my response is always, it's easy to be fiscally conservative when times are tough. When money's flowing, everything's around, everybody and their brother, my liberal friends down in Hamilton County used to always come across as, hey, we gotta cut this, we gotta slash that, we've gotta cut back on this. I get it, everybody becomes fiscally conservative when money's not there. But the key to financial success is being fiscally conservative all the time and not blowing the money just because you have it. Act like it's your own family's checkbook. And that's what we've got a long history of doing. And that rewards us in a time like 2022 when we can not reduce your tax rate, we're simply not going to collect our portion. And again, in 2023, you are going to pay it. It's coming. I want to make that clear. It is coming. And you couple that with the absolute booming real estate market that we have in Warren County, and that, congratulations, the average homeowner's net worth in Warren County just went up by $51,000. That is a big deal. And so we are going to collect a little bit more on tax on that eventually, but it's literally pennies on the dollar compared to what your family's net worth just increased. So I think we have two resolutions.
Yes. Have a resolution to approve a 2.57 mil reduction in the rate of property tax being collected. I'm sorry, currently being levied.
Oh, I'm sorry. So moved?
And yes.
Have a resolution to approve a 1.21 mil reduction in the rate of property tax currently being levied relative to the senior citizens levy.
So moved?
And yes.
That's all that I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Very good. Next, we'll roll right into a work session concerning our budget, speaking of 2022.
So if you want to
There.
adjourn in here
Yeah.
and then convene in the conference room
So you
where
need
all
a
your
motion
budgets
to
are laid
adjourn?
out.
We're not adjourning.
You're just moving.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
moving.
Rotation.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
it.
First week on the job.
I moved.